Hello, everyone. This is Stephen David Elliott. You're on 3 Martini Lunch, which is a virtual networking event nationally. We come to you every week, which, gosh, now months upon months upon months, we've been meeting together and sharing our wisdom and learning about one another. And I'm glad to have you all back. I do see a new person on the panel today, Jen Beck. If you want to just wave your hand over there for a moment so everyone knows who you are. We'll learn more about you. But just so you know the structure of the event, Aileen, your camera is so foggy right on the camera. You may need to clean the lens.
I noticed that. I'm trying to figure that one out. Let me go wipe it off.
We use this, hi Rhonda. We use the Success is Contagious model of moderating this particular event. And with Success is Contagious, we're going to go around the room in the first hour, meet with our panelists, and they're going to share with us either the success they've had this week, one of their clients. It can be business related, it can be family related, it could just be your thoughts on success in general. But primarily what we're trying to do is learn about you, not necessarily what you do for a business. That way people can understand where you're coming from and determine whether they want to connect with you off of this broadcasted event. I want to thank ahead of time Sarah Elliot, who is the producer of the show. All of our panelists got their links from her today, and she made sure that we're up and running. She is the co-founder of Rockstar Connect and the co-creator of Rockstar Connect, and also still my wife. Despite everything. Today. Yeah, today. And she's happy to keep everything moving forward. Let's start, Rhonda, you came on at last, but we're going to put you first because you look real relaxed out there. Is this like your new studio?
Oh, the green screen, because I'm still in boxes.
You're still in boxes.
Okay. Yeah, we moved 2 weeks ago from the Inland Empire, Temecula, California, to Carlsbad, 3 blocks from the beach. So we downsized, and that's a huge success because that was something that was on my vision board forever. So that's pretty exciting. And my husband's actually retiring at the end of this month. He's leaving a big corporate job and he's going to start doing some consulting. So that's been a huge success. And for me, the fun part of what I've been doing is getting on lots and lots of panels talking about LinkedIn, teaching people how to get out of the LinkedIn Witness Protection Program so that they can actually get found and start booking appointments. So that's been pretty cool. I've missed you guys because the last 2 weeks I've just been digging out of boxes. And so it's so nice to be back and see all these friendly faces, Domenic and Clint and you, Stephen. Yeah, so that's been really cool. And the other thing that I'm doing, and this is really, really exciting, is I'm creating a course on face reading. And I'm tying it into LinkedIn, teaching people, because everybody meets on Zoom. You know, we jump on Zoom and we have to develop rapport. But if you do what I do, which is, a basic curtain, that's my background, right? You can't really tell anything about me. So what if you could look at somebody's face and know, oh yeah, this person's a people person. They process information quickly. They're a risk taker, whatever it happens to be, in conjunction with their LinkedIn. So I'm actually creating that and excited because I'm probably going to launch it by Thanksgiving. So that's what I've been up to, and I've missed you. I've really missed you, Stephen, but I love seeing your food on Facebook. It definitely makes me hungry.
Thank you. Well, it's great seeing you. What I can observe is you look more California than ever, and in the best way, more sort of like hippie, granola, relaxed California. Here in Carlsbad versus Inland Empire, maybe it was a little more tense there and populated. I don't know. What's the difference between Temecula and Carlsbad?
It's actually a huge difference. Well, first of all, I was living in a very young family towards, kind of community, right? You'd go out and you'd see all the kids playing on the street and lots of kids. Now I'm in an over 55 community. So I have people that actually are, way closer to my age. I'm 3 blocks from the beach instead of an hour from the beach. And the other thing that I really love about this, and this is one of the coolest things, and I know you're a real estate agent, Stephen. So, one of the things that really drew me to this community was the community. Whether I'm just out walking my dog or just walking down, everybody talks to you. They, especially with the COVID, it's like the friendliest people I've ever seen. And I think that's the biggest thing where I was previously, my kids are grown, they're 29 and 31. So, it's a little bit more challenging to relate when you see parents that are juggling homeschool and work and carpool and all those other things. So I feel much more at home here, my people.
Are you feeling, since you've knocked more things off your bucket list or your vision board or whatever expression we're going to use, do you feel more successful than you did?
I do. I really do. Yeah, one of my biggest goals was to help my husband retire. He has always been, the guy that climbed the corporate ladder, and being married to an entrepreneur for almost 4 decades, he had that side to him, but it was always more on the side of, safety, right? You knew that you were going to get that great paycheck, the 401k, the health benefits and all of that. And now that we're older, I think the coolest part is that what I've been able to achieve is allowing him to achieve his dreams, to pursue something new. And effective November 30th, he basically says goodbye to the corporate world. So that's pretty exciting.
So do you feel that now we're in the position that you're in, do you feel that you will be more valuable in helping your current clients and new clients be more successful?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And part of what I've shifted to is, I've always done the profile makeovers. I've always had that done for your service, and I'm not going to stop that. But taking it to a new level, especially in view of the pandemic, because I think the hardest thing that people have to deal with is, how do I get the appointment? How do I talk to people in a way that I'm not selling them, that I'm serving them? And Rockstar is a great example, because I will share with a lot of the people I'll talk to. I'll say, have you ever heard of Rockstar Connect? It's this amazing platform that's both live and off, online and offline. You might want to check it out. It's amazing. So it's always just looking for resources that I can share with people. The business will follow no matter what. The business will follow, but I just want to find ways that I can serve. What resource can I share with you? What can I give you? Who can I introduce you to that will leave you better than you started at the beginning of our conversation?
Well, that's really good stuff there. And I'm so excited that you're back on and that you're able to share your successes with us.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. I've missed you all.
We missed you too. Jackie, I know you've had some great successes this week. Would you like to share your successes with us?
Absolutely. Yesterday was a dream come true for, in the middle of a pandemic. I had no idea how this would work out, pulling off one of the largest events of the year for my foundation, the Derek Wittenburg Foundation. We had our 6th annual golf invitational at Wakefield Country Club yesterday, and I am so grateful to the many people who came out to play in this tournament, and for a very necessary cause, which is to help college students graduate and lower the debt while they're doing it. It was just a magical day, and I had quite a few of our Rockstar family there supporting me yesterday, and that made it extra special. It was a beautiful day. We accomplished so much out on the course. It was about so much more than just golf. It's always about bringing the right people together to create greatness for others. And I saw a lot of that happening yesterday. And I want to especially thank Jeff Messer from InReach and Scott Rudder from Goosehead. They were just incredible. Jeff, I'm so excited to see the result of his storytelling. He interviewed quite a few people yesterday, and I'm just so excited to see what he comes up with in terms of his storytelling, which I know is going to be amazing because I know each and every person that he interviewed, and they've been major supporters of the foundation since our inception in 2015. So I can only imagine how incredible his final product will be. And to Scott Rutter, who came out and co-sponsored a whole with the young man Donovan Barnes from Real Photography, I am just so grateful that they were there. There was also a young lady, Lauren, I think, Delorme, who was out on the hole with them. She's with a wine distributor. And I got the most positive feedback. Her presence added value, great value to the tournament. And we will definitely be supporting her in the future because she was amazing. And also Mr. Jerry McCormick with, I believe it's public safety training. Another whole sponsor from the Rockstar Connect family. And he was absolutely amazing. I love the fact that our golfers enjoyed stopping to chat with him and to learn more about what he does and his contribution to society. He's accomplished quite some great things. I believe he was a former police officer. So it was just an all-around fabulous day, and I couldn't have asked for a better team of volunteers. They were amazing. And you're only as good as your team. So a lot of credit goes out to many people for making that day a success. And because of that, we're going to be able to help more students than we thought we would be able to in 2020. So the pandemic, move out of the way. There is a God. We got some great things done yesterday.
So I know you say it's not about the golf, but what about the golf? Who won the tournament?
Oh, this is exciting. I wasn't going to reveal yet because I'm going to put this one on blast. The person who won the golf, I have to tell you a little story about her first. It's a her. She actually, when I reached out to our golf teams to make sure that they get their team members to me in time, her response, she responded to me with her team, and in the subject area, she put from the winning team. Well, they came to play. I love this. They came to play. They came out and they actually won the tournament. And she happens to be a classmate of mine from NC State, who is a very successful realtor in Raleigh and in Charlotte, who's extremely philanthropic and loves to play golf. And she put together her team of some of her closest golfing buddies, and they came from Charlotte and Raleigh and Durham and Wilmington, and they come up and they show out and they win the Derek Wittenberg Foundation Golf Invitational, and boy did they win. It was a great tournament. And then one other special note, his team didn't win this year, but my husband he's the only one that came close to winning the hole-in-one, which would have been incredible. It was a Mercedes on hole number 11. He came very, very close.
Wow, that's a great prize. Sarah and I, we keep on threatening to become golfers. We'd love to play next year and sponsor a hole and go out and enjoy the beautiful weather. I mean, I think it's, maybe we can create a new Rockstar Connect networking event based around golf. I think that would be a very popular event. Maybe some people play golf, and then afterwards other people can gather together. The non-golfers can gather together in the country club for a networking event.
Well, a lot of great things are accomplished on the golf course other than playing the game. There are a lot of relationships being built on golf courses across the country that actually turn into some incredible partnerships. And that's what has happened in my life with golf, is just the unbelievable partnerships and relationships that you build on the golf course. So a lot of that happened.
Sarah has a very special relationship to golf. And my wife, Sarah, her grandfather, Dean Beeman, was the commissioner for the PGA for just a few decades and pretty much invented modern golf. And he still plays, tell me if I'm wrong, Sarah, he plays every day, still in his 80s. And gets to play with, some of the best golfers in the world, as he was a professional golfer as well. So he would be very happy if Sarah and I could join him on the course sometime over the next year. And he will tell you all business starts with golf.
It does. He's exactly right.
Eventually. And, there's the health aspect of it. And health is so important now. And I know so many of our panelists have really tried hard during the quarantine, during COVID to be healthy, to change their lifestyle so that they wouldn't spiral out of control, both physically but also emotionally. And you can look at the people on the panel and just see how much healthier they are and that they've lost weight. And I mean, I know everyone has been doing this. I know Holly and Clint and Domenic have been concentrating on their health quite a bit. And I'm happy for that. And today we have a new panelist joining us. Her name is Jen Beck, and she's going to tell a little bit about herself and why health is so important to her success and to our success. Thank you for joining us, Jen.
Thanks for having me. Health is something that I have been passionate about for the last 20 years. If you rewound the clock, you would see me living on caffeine and sugar and fast food with no knowledge about nutrition. And so I've gone on my own journey. My mom had multiple sclerosis and went through a bunch of relapses where she went from living on her own to being in a nursing home at 49 years old. And that for me is what catapulted me into more of a wellness realm, because I was looking for ways to help her because she was on all the preventative medications. And I know that for me, making simple changes have had tremendous payoff in my life as well as for all of my clients. It's about the little things, right? It's about the little things that we can do each and every day that we're adding in value to our bodies so we can be able to have better energy. We can have better mental clarity. We can have lasting energy. So not only are we creating the wealth in our business, but we have the energy to enjoy our life after the end of the workday as well. There's nothing worse than walking into a sales conversation where you have all of the best intentions and you're excited, and then halfway through the call, you just start losing focus, or you start losing energy because your blood sugar crashes, or your energy tanks because it's the slump in the afternoon. So it's those things about, like, we're looking at, when I look at health, it's such a prime component of every aspect of our life, like Stephen just said, right? If you want to go out and go golfing, but you have joint pain, it's not going to be a real enjoyable experience to go networking on the golf course. I have a client who used to take 2 to 4 ibuprofen every single day before he went out on the golf course. He was 63 years old, and that was his preventative maintenance. So we worked together for a little bit. He started drinking more water, and he cut back on 1 cocktail a day. And it literally eliminated the need for him to do ibuprofen every day. So but he was so dehydrated.
More cocktails?
Huh?
More cocktails? He added a cocktail?
No, he took one away. Did I say add?
He took one away. Okay.
No, less cocktails, more water.
Less cocktails.
Yeah, but he started drinking half his body weight in ounces of water a day versus having 1 bottle of water a day. And it was an overnight change where literally in 2 days, he didn't need the ibuprofen anymore.
That's fantastic. And you have a great, strong voice. I mean, you're terrific for, broadcasting panels and all that, a lot of enthusiasm. You obviously have a lot of energy. I did a call last week. I had no idea what the call was about. I got on the call. I was on the phone with 20 people. I was speaking in front of 20 people out in Oklahoma. And I said, great, I'm glad I have my energy level here right now. But I want to tell you a great health success that, and I hope she doesn't mind me bragging about it, but my wife, Sarah, when we got married, she was a considerable smoker. And on her own, she quit smoking 6 years ago. and she
Awesome.
she was using a vape. And Halloween, which is a while ago now, she was chasing our dog in the woods that got off lead, and she dropped her vape. And she hasn't vaped since then. But yesterday she was going to go get a new vape. She said, "You know what? It's just a lot. I need something to do with my hands." She went to the vape shop and she came back with the vape that has absolutely no nicotine in it.
Fantastic.
It has B12. So it's real. Can you imagine giving that up during COVID? That's pretty awesome. So in your practice, you help people with weight, smoking, drinking, but in a gradual way so that it doesn't completely change their life immediately. So they don't reject it. It's all gradual.
Yeah, I really believe in baby steps. I was telling somebody the other day, the first change I ever made is if you have got a burger, right? The bun's this big and the burger's this big. I just cut off the white part around the bun that didn't have the burger in the middle of it. That was the first change I ever made, right? It doesn't have to be an overhaul, but it's about the little baby steps that we can start creating a habit out of. And then we just layer success on top of success on top of success. And as we do that, our brain gets excited because we're seeing results versus going, all right, I'm going to the gym 6 days a week. I'm not eating any more sugar, no more carbs. I'm drinking water. I'm giving up alcohol. I'm giving up coffee. I'm doing it. Which your brain goes, what? And it lasts for about a day.
It might cause a lot of damage to your body doing all those things at once if it's not used to it. So what should we do? Should we park a couple spaces down?
Would be a good step. Yeah, right. Seriously, I've had people that just start marching in place 1 minute a day, and in 30 days they're working out a half an hour a day.
It almost sort of sounds like cognitive therapy too. You're sort of rewiring their brain.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah, I believe in working with your brain versus against it, because if you overhaul everything, it's not going to last. But when you do those baby steps, and again, it's rewiring the brain so we're focused on what we're creating versus what we're giving up. We're crowding out with the bad.
You're going to be a very popular panelist, and a lot of people are going to probably want to reach out to you because we like baby steps, but we also like big gains.
Right.
If we can do that together, that's a big deal.
Huge.
Right, Holly? Dr. Holly's with us.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know that you've done a lot of things, a lot of big changes that have impacted you. I mean, I think you look a lot younger and happier and
thank you.
And focused. So why don't you share with us, I'll let you go back a little further than the last week. What are some great successes that you've had recently?
No, so that's a great question. So I'll build on what Jen said. Several years ago, I decided that I didn't like my weight or my energy level or anything else. And I just decided to start eating more healthy little by little. Like she said, it is the baby steps. And so I was able to get my weight under control. It ballooned up again when I was getting my PhD. That happens sometimes. I didn't have the time to work out. I wasn't, stationary, writing. And so all I did was go back to the habits that I had generated before, and they fell right back into place. Once you do something for an extended period of time, it becomes like breathing. And so now I'm back to my fighting weight because of the pandemic, and because I'm not having to travel, I'm outside more. So I'm hiking, I'm walking, I'm running, I'm biking, I'm doing all kinds of things because I actually have the time to do it, and I feel so much better. So in addition to getting my health realigned, you heard me say I earned my PhD. This was 1.5 years ago. And it was a bucket list item for me. I didn't do it for my career. I just did it because it was something I'd always wanted to do. And now, according to Clint, my name is Doc. So
yeah, I've always thought you were a doctor. I thought you've been a doctor for like 20 years.
Nope, 1.5 years.
We were meant to be a doctor then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Isn't that funny? But no, I've done corporate training for all my adult life. And so I've watched how that has changed, and I managed to pivot my business to change with the pandemic, and have been enjoying a lot of success doing training, consulting, facilitation, etc. online, which is fantastic.
That's terrific. So glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Mr. Mark Sher in South Florida. Apparently he is inside of his aquarium at the moment. Mark, what has been been your great success in the last week?
Thank you, Stephen, for asking. And by the way, that's not my aquarium, Stephen.
No, it's not? Okay.
No, that's actually in the water looking at a shark.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, now I can see the shark.
Yeah, you see little gills moving?
Yeah, this
Anyway,
is my
it's
nightmare.
big gills.
That and alligators.
That and alligators,
Hmm.
my favorite. My biggest success last week was being able to talk to somebody that obviously never met before. They just found us through some type of social media. And it was someone who's owned a business about 3-4 years in. And like most people that own their own business, they had financial issues. And we showed them some information. And then we had to get, needless to say, their CPA on the phone because, the comment was, that's too good to be true. And why hasn't my CPA told me that? And you're going to like this, the gal. And I'm sorry, because I don't have my reading glasses on. The weight loss gal. What's her name, Stephen?
Jen Beck.
Well, sorry about that, Jen. Great. As Stephen said, you have a great, radio, TV voice. But so I was talking to CPA and I showed him some things. And then I just said to the client, I said, let me tell you why your CPA hasn't told you this while we were on the phone together. So I asked the CPA and him how important nutrition was to their day-to-day health. And they both said it's super important. I go, I agree. And I asked both of them, do you know any MDs? And they both said yes. And I said, well, you can call them up, but I'm telling you what the answer is going to be. Why don't you verify after we have this call how many hours or how many classes of nutrition they got their whole career in medical school? And I'm going to tell you the answer is going to be 1 or 0. And they both kind of said, you're right. I never thought of that before. And the CPA actually called me back the next day. And I said to him, I said, listen, I'm not trying to, cause a friction between you and your client, but the reason that I'm saying certain things that you've never told him, that you now realize that you've been doing it wrong for the last 25 years, which was one of his comments the prior day, said it's just because you weren't taught it in school. And it's the same thing with nutrition and doctors. Nutrition is super important, but they're not taught it in school. So unless they get out of their little world, out of their box and start researching it, they don't have the information, and the information's correct. And what we do with money and in educating people how to become financially literate, which translates to eliminating debt. We're not a debt consolidation company or debt repair company. We truly teach people how to become financially literate. That's my favorite thing in the world, especially when the CPA goes, wow, I've been telling my client wrong for 25 years. And I said, yeah, you have. So that was my biggest success.
Well, I mean, Mark, I always enjoy speaking with Mark, and Mark has spoken to a lot of my friends that I've introduced him to, and my colleagues, because he can explain financial literacy, like an artist painting a picture, where you just sort of get it. And even if they don't 100% get it, they're on their path towards that, and they're enjoying the ride with Mark. So I encourage anyone out there to speak with Mark. In fact, I have a few people. I think I have a call with you tomorrow, and one of my clients. So that's the way it works. Share the information with one another, and share the wealth of this panel with other people around the country. All right, let's say hi to Debra. Debra, you almost feel like a new guest because we haven't seen you in a few weeks. So we're glad to have you back. Obviously, you're keeping healthy, and you look great. What would you like to share with us regarding your success, and since you haven't been on in a while?
Well, I'm going to have to go back a couple of weeks. October 30th, I turned 60 years old.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah, I hit a new milestone. It's like, oh, dear God. Anyway, so what do? I tell my husband, those of you who don't know me, I am a 16-year breast cancer survivor. And on October 31st, I got back into the race car. I raced an amateur level for 13 years and got out simply because I wasn't having fun anymore and I was having trouble with claustrophobia. But on October 31st, the day after my birthday, I got back into our race car and did a track day here in North Carolina. And I've decided to get back in the car and do track days until Jen, you're gonna have to help me with the like diet and stuff. I mean, I do a really good diet, but I've got to build my arm strength back up and I've got to really get my body back in shape if I want to race competitively again. So that was the greatest success I've had in the last 2 weeks, getting back in the car. And this pertains to business too. I did a post on LinkedIn and my social media. It really pertains to business as well as personally, because when we challenge ourselves in business, sometimes we don't really think about, you know, anything other than the competition. I got to get ahead of the competition, or I got to do this. Same thing in racing. You're there and you're there to race. But when you focus too much on the car in front of you, which is what happened in the video that's on LinkedIn, I got out in the gray a little bit. I spun. I did a 360. So you can't focus on what anybody else is doing in business. Just do what you do and, you know, do it to its best. And if you're trying to find a career, same thing. You know, I tell my clients when I'm coaching them how to find a career on LinkedIn, you can't think about what everybody else is doing out there. You've got to find your passion, whatever it is. And, you know, you've got another great LinkedIn trainer here, Rhonda, Sher. We are out there to help you navigate LinkedIn, whether you choose me or her. Everybody needs to have a social presence today on LinkedIn, simply because we're in a virtual world now. And so I guess to answer your question, my greatest success was getting back in the race car after 7 years. Professionally, I have a great day every day because I get up every day and I can help people succeed in their social media platform on LinkedIn. So whether it's they're finding a career or trying to grow their business, every day is a great day for me. Some clients are better than others, but every day is a great day.
Debra, you know, it's such good advice, you know, to sort of, you know, you can get out of your lane every once in a while. That's your right as an individual, and challenge yourself to go get more business and to be more financially successful. But the reality is there's some people that say, I want to dominate my industry.
Right.
I want to have all the business. I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. You know, so if there are real estate agents, they start off and they go, I want to dominate the real estate industry here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm thinking, if you had 1% of 1% of all the real estate business in North Carolina, you would have a heart attack and you would die within the end of the week.
Well, you know, the funny thing about it is I'm connected to Rhonda on LinkedIn. I'm connected to probably 30 LinkedIn trainers. And for those that I can't, or frankly don't have either the want to or the desire to train some clients, Rhonda does some things I don't do. I'm going to pass those people to her. We can all work together. And that's what, you know, I turn business away every day to other LinkedIn trainers because frankly, there are a lot of them out there that are smarter than I am. And I want to stay in my lane.
No, it's like, I mean, you're both innovators, you know, in LinkedIn, obviously, you know, early adapters, large networks. That's what, you know, any industry needs. I mean, I would foresee that eventually they'll have an organization of LinkedIn trainers and coaches and experts. And I'm sure the two of you would participate at the very top of an organization like that. You know, LinkedIn has been able to keep away the stink that comes from a lot of other social media platforms. And they weren't involved in the election. They weren't involved, you know, they stayed where they were supposed to be, which was supporting people, especially in these hard times, you know, to stay employed, to keep getting business, etc. And you know, Rhonda and Debra, you and Rhonda, you participate in that every single day, and frequently without any compensation for it whatsoever. which is, shows leadership 100%. So thank you for joining us today. And I'm glad that you and Jen are probably going to connect and talk a little bit about health. Racing is a sport. It's a sport. Got to be physically ready for it.
That's for
Hey,
sure.
Stephen, can I add one thing real quick?
Yeah, please do, Rhonda.
So Debra, I'm so glad that you talked about the fact that you help job hunters, because I have actually been looking for somebody to refer the people that I don't work with job hunters at all on LinkedIn. So just by showing up today, I actually had somebody yesterday that said they needed help. And I said, I'm not your girl. That's not my lane. So I will send that referral straight over to you. So magic really does happen on this platform, Stephen.
It really does.
Members. I mean, it makes you even more team members. I know you guys have communicated off this panel at least twice previously over the years, but I mean, now you guys have a real opportunity to help one another. And of course, you can definitely learn a lot of Rhonda's expertise.
We need to do that, Rhonda. And thank you again, Stephen, for having me. Let's connect after this on a PM and we'll chat.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
60 is a breeze, Debra. I passed that a long time ago. So it's simple.
Yeah, right. Is it half a degree of separation in the world right now? It seems.
Yeah,
like.
Medicare is just right around the corner. So there you go.
Well, I mean, you're both doing fantastic. Looking younger every year, as far as I'm concerned. Diego, welcome back. We haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I'm sure you have some fantastic successes that you would like to share with us.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Stephen. It's great to see so many great professionals on this call and some new faces that I haven't met yet. Yeah, I apologize for being a little dressed down. Today was a day where I got to move signs. Whenever you take a sign out of the ground because you've had a closing, that's always a good thing. And when you can put it somewhere new, that's always a good thing. So it was a great day for that. But I'd say my big success this week was I was invited to be a presenter on commercial real estate in 2020, what we've had and where we're going. And it was a very, very interesting conversation. I was glad to be able to use some good hard data that I've been able to acquire throughout the year based on my business results, and offer some thoughts and ideas for investors that are considering the market for the rest of this year as well as the coming year. And whenever you get a chance to speak as an expert, and I know we've got some great speakers in this group here that I look up to, it's always a great opportunity. So that was my big success. I'm feeling particularly proud of myself this week.
There's a lot of interesting things going on in commercial real estate. I'm not a commercial real estate agent, but if I don't know about what's going on in commercial real estate, I really can't serve my residential people as well. And just people are modifying. So there's actually seems to be some large projects on the horizon around the country utilizing space in different ways to make them more virus resistant in the future. Not for tomorrow necessarily, but 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line, larger restaurants, better ventilation systems. Rockstar Connect, we're doing an event with Domenic, and I'll talk to Domenic next to go a little bit over it more, where we're actually doing a networking event at a hotel. And primarily because, although hotels are down right now, the amount of people staying in hotels are great places to have events and to go during a virus. If you remember back in the 60s, we had French Legionnaire's disease in the United States inside of hotels. And there was a scare where people didn't want to go hotels for a while. And hotels changed the way they ventilated rooms and public spaces to prevent those illnesses.
Stephen,
they would die. Go ahead.
Sorry, if you'll allow me a moment. It's so awesome that you brought up hospitality in general. Because right now, hospitality is struggling, restaurants and hotels and travel industry in general. And yet, I can tell you that I'm already working with investors that are projecting out in 12 to 18 months the next boom in the hospitality industry, knowing that the vaccine is coming down the pike and that there will be the other side of this pandemic will soon be coming. And those of you who know me well, I'm an optimist. So I have no other way to think other than there will be the other side of this pandemic. And there are already investors that are planning for that. I mean, if I were to do a quick survey just by a show of hands, how many of you are looking forward to be able to travel once all of this is over?
I mean, I'm looking to travel this weekend. I'm looking to book a hotel somewhere in the mountains.
Right. So
I'm not
there will
stopping.
be a boom.
You know, so right now in hotels around the country, I think the occupancy's down 50% overall. But if you're in an urban area, it's down like 75%. So the more concentrated area. So we're very happy to be having Domenic's event this week. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Domenic? And because I'm sure that's one of your successes for the week.
Oh yeah, I've had all sorts of successes this week, and a lot of them having to do with networking. So there's a lot of live networking going on. Got to do a couple of those out on the golf course in this beautiful weather. So I got to play on Friday and got to be out on the course with Jackie and Clint for the Derek Wittenburg Foundation charity golf tournament yesterday, where I volunteered. So that was a lot of fun. But then, you know, coming up this week, we have at least 2 live in-person Rockstar Connect events in the Triangle. I know there's one tonight, which is the Briar Creek event, which is being held at Bar Louie. So we'll see, you know, see how well that one goes, because, you know, that one, we kind of blew that out in, what was it, July. We had a pretty decent event there. And then Thursday, I know that with our first event with our new partner Marriott, that's going to be a pretty huge event. As of yesterday morning, and normally most people don't register early on these things. As of yesterday morning, we had 40 on Eventbrite, and I checked earlier today. I had about 200 on LinkedIn. LinkedIn event acceptance is relatively unreliable when it comes to actually.
Eventbrite's going to be the number probably.
Eventbrite will likely be the number. If you take the time to register on there, you're probably going to end up coming to the event. But I know we get a lot of people that see the events and they're not accustomed to actually registering on Eventbrite. As you well know, people just show up to Rockstar Connect events because they know they can. So I would imagine we're probably going to get 50% more than what we have on Eventbrite because of that.
Yeah, and you know, when you have 50 people at an event nowadays, it feels huge. So we had downtown Rockstar Connect downtown group with Mark Roberts and Tiffany Roberts 2 weeks ago, and there were at our event at Tobacco Road, there was about 35 people. In the entire restaurant besides us, there were 6 people. So we were probably the biggest group of people that they had seen in months. But it was amazing because we did tell people at the front, we did give them some instructions, but just the basic instructions, you know, keep some social distance and took temperatures at the door, which I'm going to be the temperature taker tonight in Briar Creek. And, you know, we asked people to wear their masks, and we had 100% of the people wore masks at the event. But they wore it. The requirements in North Carolina is once you have a drink, you don't have to wear your mask. People still wore their mask. They had their drink, they would take down their mask a little bit like this, they would take a sip, and they would put it back up. So I felt like they took the little extra step, and it just shows, you know, how important networking is to our members and attendees, because I know that, you know, a lot of them were concerned for health reasons, but also a lot of them said, hey, I don't want this event to die. I don't want like people to take photos of attendees without masks and blast people that are going to the event, because this is important. You know, there are people that are coming to the live events and they're crying at the live events. You know, they're not sad, they're happy. They're very
see
excited.
people. Yeah.
So I can't wait to call Marriott tomorrow and give them our numbers. So that
of course.
Ready for us on Thursday.
And I will say that we have actually also been talking with Jackie about, you know, using Jimmy V's as an event space as well. Yesterday at the tournament, Jackie introduced us to the general manager at the Sheraton, as well as and they have Jimmy V's there, about utilizing that as an event space, because they're not even open for lunch right now. So we could do daytime events there. Plus they have a massive patio right there in downtown. And just like the Marriott, they're being, they have that kind of cleaning service because they have the 24-hour a day, people employed there to make sure things are cleaned and sanitized.
Well,
So
I
that may
would
be
say
an
that
opportunity.
the hotels have, and I've said this for years, are completely underutilized. Most people that do travel hotels are doing it for business, especially during COVID. So the ones that are doing it during COVID, and they're largely empty during the week. Monday through Thursday, their lobbies are empty, and it's a tremendous resource for us business people to be able to congregate safely in those lobbies and network with one another, and also to support businesses that are so important to us. I mean, Diego agree with me. He's driving around town and he's looking at square footage, whatever that square footage may be. I can tell you, as much when I drive by a school and I see a school is empty, Diego's probably going, okay, we could open a shopping mall in this school. It's a little underutilized right now. And there's never been so much unused square footage in the history of the world as there's been in the last 9 months. So we're very excited to be at the Marriott. Domenic, thank you for putting together that relationship. And I'm sure a lot of us will be with you there on Thursday. So Jenny. Hi, Jenny. How are you doing today? Are you still muted?
If I could get I couldn't get my cursor over to the screen.
It's a requirement that if you work in technology, that you will have the most difficulty turning your mute button off and on.
Yeah, my tiny little mouse was like stuck on my other monitor, and I was like, "Can you just get over so I can unmute you?"
Yeah, I saw you were struggling a little bit, so I cut you a little bit of slack.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So, Jenny, a lot of great panelists today. A lot of them. Why don't you share some of your successes, and if you want to, talk a little bit about what they've said, since you're so good at that, you're welcome to.
All right. Let's see, successes. Oh, we had I feel like we had a really great week. So I have a podcast. It's called Girls Who Do Stuff, and I have a co-host. Her name is Sarah Madras. And we recorded a couple really great episodes, but we aired last week our episode with Mayor Jacques Gilbert from the town of Apex, and it was amazing. Like, we haven't, other than my parents, I don't think we've gotten the feedback from an episode the way that we got from that one. So that was a lot of fun. That was really great. We just have I survived a weekend with my husband had to go for a work thing with his partners. And so it was just me with the kids for 4 days, and I survived. I didn't, we're all alive. I didn't leave.
It can happen. Here's a little add to the origin story. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I was on the Guys That Do Stuff podcast about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I had suggested to them that they have a Girls That Do Stuff sister show. I don't know whether Joe had ever told you that.
He did not, but now I'm going to go ask him about it. Yeah, because the whole thing of how it came about was, like, I pitched an idea, the name I wanted was taken, and he said, well, I own the domain for Girls Who Do Stuff. Why don't you just do that? And I was like, all right. So here we are, almost a year later. It's super fun. But yeah, I think that, it's been a good, I finished up, I have volunteered my time and and my services, and I took all the headshots for the Launch My City program for Apex and for Holly Springs. So I did 35 headshot mini sessions over the course of 2.5 weeks. So that was a lot of, it was a lot of work. With a really good reward, and the cohorts are graduating in the next 2 Mondays. And so I'm really proud to be partnered with them on on that. It's a really great entrepreneurship program that was brought by Katie Gales and the Rotary International to Wake Tech and Wake County. So if you have any questions about the Launch My City program, you can go to launch, I think it's launchmycity.org. There's info on the Wake Tech site.
Excellent, very good. And you know, we're looking for, I know Sarah and I were supposed to hook up with you sometime in the next month or so.
We were chatting about it because I was like, you've been saying you need a haircut for several weeks now, Stephen.
I have a haircut. Can't you tell?
And I said, so she's getting her hair done. So then once it, you know, once that happens.
I'm very excited about her haircut. She's going blonde. So let's see if she has more fun from that. That's what I say. So Ray Fuentes out in California, and then we'll go, just so everyone knows, we're going to go Ray and then Jeff and then Clint. You're going to end out this hour, and then we'll go to the question of the week. Jen, we have a question every week. I don't know if they told you about that. And then we're really going to learn about you. But Ray, what success? I actually got to tell you, I finally got to see one of your podcasts, one of your interview podcasts. And they're excellent. The production value is really good. They're sort of funny. They're entertaining. Do you want to share with people what you've been doing during COVID with that project?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, first off, hello, everybody. My name is Ray Fuentes. I'm the Red Shoe Broker and host of the Interview with a Rockstar show. And that's what talking about. I'm sorry, Steven's talking about. We met many years ago through our real estate company. He introduced me to Rockstar Connect. So thank you for that. That's one of the best things I've ever done. I host a Rockstar Connect here in the Sacramento, California region. The last one was March 10th of last year because we couldn't get into restaurants anymore. And as a host, one of the things that I do is I get to stand at the front and greet people and say hello. But I don't get a chance to talk to them very much. I usually reach out to them during the month and say, hey, how's it going? You know, thanks for coming. What do you do? Who's your ideal client? Well, when we stopped that, there were a lot of people that I hadn't had a chance to talk to yet. So I just started reaching out to people that I know and say, hey, how would you like to do, excuse me, an interview using Zoom? And it started off, you know, like a PowerPoint backdrop and just both of us talking, and it just had their information. And it has switched. Which one did you see, Stephen?
The one that was you just posted on Facebook today.
Okay.
Actually had the really good, you know, the graphics and like design to it. You know, it didn't seem like a Zoom Power presentation thing to me.
Right, and that's what it has evolved to. I have it professionally edited. And we put at the bottom, it's the skyline of Sacramento, and has my red shoes up there in the corner. And then the guest and I sit there and talk, and I do a little research on him. And this gentleman's name was Timothy Morgan. I've known him for a couple of years. I do a little bit of background search, like on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I find interesting things to them because the show's about them. It's not about their business. It's not about me, although we talk about both of us and, you know, things that go on. But it's really about the guest. And I got the idea from watching one of those talk shows on TV late night, like Conan O'Brien or something. And I thought, why don't I do that with the folks that go to Rockstar Connect? Get to know them and then talk a little bit about their business. That was a long one, though. They're normally only about 15 or 20 minutes long.
It must have been, you know, you really connected with him, or you knew a little bit more about him.
Well, yeah. So I only had to ask a few questions because none of this is really scripted, and I only had to ask a few questions, and he shared a bunch of stuff. You know, having birthdays on St. Patrick's Day. In this example, one gal that I talked to, Katie. She has chickens, and we talked about chickens and that she had remodeled her house, and I did a video on that. I spoke to a lender, Albert Chavez, who went to Greece, and we talked about Greece. and he's going through a personal growth, spiritual, physical, mental growth process. We talked about that. And most of those folks are from here, the Sacramento region. But I got the chance to speak with someone from here, Erica. She's in the Washington, D.C. area. And we did a short presentation. She agreed to, come on the show with me. So that was awesome.
You might want to have some of the panelists from this program on your show go a little deeper in depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Rhonda's pretty much your neighbor there.
Here, I'll put my information on here in the chat, and you can go ahead and click on the 3 buttons in the chat, and it'll download it for you. There's
Excellent. Me. I feel bad. I didn't say that we were going to talk to Arline because her picture wasn't up. I wasn't sure she was there, and I guess she had to go, so she dropped off. But if anyone wants to look up Arline Warwick, her information is in the chat. And what she does is she helps people get sponsorships for their business, whether they be a for-profit or whether they're a not-for-profit. So someone that, I know Jacqueline's going to want to speak to, and Debra and a few other people. So just look up her name in the chat. Jeff Messer. I think Jeff is gone. Oh,
no, I'm here. I had to let it hold true, Stephen, that all of us in the technology space have all the problems with technology.
100%, because you guys overthink it. I don't even, the lighting, I actually have a candle here and a little mirror. That's what I use for my lighting.
And a coffee can for your audio, right?
No, it's a Dixie cup. Cup and a string. I'm not too fancy. I don't need, coffee can. I don't even think they make them anymore. But go ahead. Sher, I see you had the success with Jackie, and I know you've had a lot of other successes. What successes have you had since you were last on the program? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. We've been rather busy, and when you shoot lots and lots of video, as much as we try to downplay the need for editing, there's a fair amount of editing we got to do, and that takes a lot of time. So, look, I think I want to focus on what was being discussed early on in the panel, I should say, and that is, the power, I think, of networking and networking for a cause, and I'm going to assume it's having a successful business is a worthy cause. But I think when you're networking because you want to meet great people and not expect anything back from it, I think that's equally as important of a cause. And I'm a big fan of looking out for false positives or confirmation bias, in what you're doing. But as I was talking with Jackie yesterday, and I've talked with others over the past few weeks, when I started this business ourselves from the ground up, bootstrapped and all that good stuff. I wanted to prove a hypothesis that we could just go out and do really good things and not worry about where the money was going to come from. And I'd like to say we worried probably a little bit. The money's starting to take care of itself, and we're not being greedy about our time. And we're not expecting that just because we shoot a video for somebody or we help them with technical issues related to video production, that somehow that results in some sort of quid pro quo. And that is proving out to be a better way of doing things than your traditional, let me show up at a networking event, trade off some business cards, do some glad handing, and then hope for the best. So kudos to the Rockstar Connect family. And Jacqueline and I have become, I would say, good friends through all of this. And that's been fantastic. Domenic and Scott and Clint, folks who are there, who know us more than just as that business over in the corner that does video production. And it is having a reciprocal benefit beyond, I would say, a reciprocal benefit is not proportionate to what we're putting in. So that's great.
Well, that's terrific. And if I could expand a little bit on it, Sarah and I are networking people. It's our life. We write books on the subject. We're immersed in it every single day. Networking doesn't stop and start at the networking event. I mean, you're good friends with Jackie now. I didn't meet Jackie at a networking event. How did I meet Jackie? I got her into a client's apartment rental. Why did I do that? Because I was doing that as a favor to the client. I don't do rentals. I'm not a rental real estate agent. I don't make any money doing that. But, you know, we had a good relationship, and now, you know, Jackie is firmly entrenched in my sphere of influence and has introduced me to people, and I've hopefully introduced her to people. Also beyond that, you know, I always say that, you know, you need to give without any expectation, but now I modify that. I think you do have to have an expectation, because you are going to be getting so much back from networking. You have to be prepared for it. Because when you are being nice to people and you're helping people and you're sharing your time and your wisdom and your effort, they're going to look to do good things for you, and you have to be ready to receive those things, right? I think a lot of people forget that. It's like, yeah, I put in all the work and all the effort. Now all these good things are happening. How do I graciously accept those things, right? So
yeah. Absolutely. And it's tough sometimes when you hear someone who's now becoming a friend saying, well, we want to make sure you're taken care of. And I'm like, well, that's not why that's not why I'm necessarily doing the things that we've been doing. So it is, I think there is some, we'll call it cognitive dissonance that goes on, where you did it for no other reason but because you wanted to do something good. And then when there is reciprocation, it is sometimes a little difficult to accept.
And then, you know, it's amazing because all of a sudden there's money sitting there in your pocket. Yeah. And Rhonda and I have been, you know, networking with one another for years now, and I don't think we've ever even discussed a dollar figure with one another in all those years. But I will guarantee you that she and I will make a lot of money for each other sometime in the very near future. It's just going to happen, and we have to be prepared for it. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's just the way of networking. Maybe that'll be the name of Sarah in my next book, The Way of Networking. Clint is a good example of this. You know, so Clint, yes, he certainly benefits from networking in his business, and it's something that he should do. But it's not necessarily, you know, he could be doing something completely different 6 months from now. Because he's a salesperson, and that's what salespeople do. We sell what can be sold best, right? Highest and best use of your skill sets.
That's right.
There's sometimes where, you know, ostensibly it looks like there's no benefit for networking for you to other people, but the reality is, you know, that's not the case. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I know you're nodding your head, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about, and most of the people on this panel, at least the ones that I know personally, are all the same way. It's all about what we can do to help other people, because that influence will come back around at some point. And, you know, we've talked about on this call before, Stephen, because I'm able to be a part of your sphere of influence and everybody else on here, everybody that I know that doesn't know you guys benefits from those relationships. And so the working together to make each other better is the mutual benefit here.
Well, first of all, wow, that was a lot of echo on my end. First of all, the return on investment in networking is absolutely immediately, because it is proven that when you give, you have a neurological result where you feel good when you contribute to society. So for those people that do not interact with other people, whether they be colleagues or supposed competitors, they suffer for it. So in Rockstar Connect, when we're looking for hosts, when we have hosts that say, we don't want any other real estate agents coming to our event, or we don't want any other financial service people coming to our event, or health people or coaches, they're not right for us. Because, you know, successful people want to be surrounded, you know, with their colleagues from their industry in order to create bigger things. I mean, Mark Sher's events are a perfect example of it. If I send him a lot of financial advisors to his event, he's excited. He's like, that's a really good event, because I can speak to people that understand my language.
Yeah, so, the networking is important, Stephen, and it's definitely going to be the the popular thing moving forward or the necessary thing moving forward for sure.
Well, I wonder if, people, they use networking to get a result. Maybe networking in and of itself is the result. Maybe that's
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And, building those relationships is always great, and the people that don't see benefit out of networking don't do it enough, aren't consistent.
There are so many people that are isolated and unhappy when they become an adult because it becomes more difficult to make friends.
Sure.
You're not in school, you're not going to camp anymore, you're not joining the Boy Scouts. And friendship is so important for your psyche, for your health, and for your well-being. So I encourage people, that are listening to this, for at the very least, network, because whether you get business or not is unimportant. Whether that you're connected to other people, and that you're part of something bigger than yourself, and is going to make you a happier person.
Oh yeah. I couldn't do what I do without, the people that are consistently on this panel, and I've made lifelong friends with most of these people. Jenny's one of them, and I've known Diego for a while. And so Diego and I are pretty close, and you got Domenic that, we hang out all the time, for business purposes and non-business purposes. And I gotta give a couple shout outs if it's okay, Steven. So I'm gonna start with Dom for taking my place yesterday when the amazing Jacquline Wittenburg surprised me with being able to play in her amazing tournament yesterday. Mr. Jeff Messer, who was there doing his thing all day. He was having lug around. You wouldn't believe the amount of equipment on a John Deere tractor. So Stephen, if you ever want to see something like that, you should go out with a golf course with Jeff, because Jeff on a John Deere is a sight to see.
We're wearing hats. You guys wearing hats, protecting the heads there?
Oh, you see this beautiful suntan? I'm not going to ruin the opportunity to put a little extra color on the skin just because of some cancer.
Right.
Yeah,
and
true.
Jackie was, made yesterday. If I have to say one of my top 5 days being an adult, that would have been yesterday. One of the reasons is whenever you play her tournament, the DW Foundation's tournament, you get the opportunity to, you have 3 of your, let's call them friends or golf buddies, whatever you want to call them. And then you get a local celebrity. And our local celebrity on my team was Chuck Caton. I've actually met Chuck a few times. And for those that don't know who Chuck Caton is, he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Carolina Hurricanes and the Hartford Whalers. And Ray, he's actually about to move out towards you. He's probably going to be taking the job in Seattle with their new franchise, their new hockey franchise. So he was our local celebrity. Just come to find out on the first hole, we're also playing with another celebrity that Jackie doesn't consider a celebrity because they're friends, and Tony Womack. And I'm a baseball geek, and Tony Womack was a baseball player for 12, 15 years in the major leagues. And we just sat there and he's a World Series champion. So I got to play golf yesterday on a beautiful course, professional course, with a Hall of Fame NHL broadcaster and a World Series champion. I mean, it was
we always knew you were a geek. We just didn't know what type. So
hey, it's all sports, baby. It's all sports.
Networking is just great. Now, I met Katie Blomquist 3 years ago, maybe almost 4 years ago now, in Charleston at the first Charleston's Rockstar Connect networking event. She eventually became the host and has hosted that event for 4 years.
At that same location.
Hmm?
At that exact location.
At that exact location. She's the only host that's had it at the same location for 4 years. So very loyal attendees, 3 years, very loyal venue. But when I met Katie, I was like, this is so cool. I met her through this event. She's doing big things. I can't wait to learn more about it and work with her. We're going to move on to the question of the week. Sarah had something she was saying to me. What was it that you were saying, Sarah, that you wanted me to bring up?
I was saying about networking that it is a level of friendship. So you can network with your friends, but it's best to network with people you don't know. And that's the start of some really beautiful friendships.
To create more friendships, yeah. Yeah, because I always feel that, with networking, people that get into Rockstar Connect as a program and they don't want to involve their older friends, their older network with their new network, they're missing a tremendous opportunity. Because a connector, it's important for you to bring value to your existing network and grow your network. Yes, Clint?
I'd like to add something since Mr. Manning is on the call. So I did their podcast, him and Trinity French have a podcast, Wired to Change. And when I was on that podcast, we were talking about, help me out here, Mike, triangulation. Is that how Trinity puts it?
Yes,
so
networking events. Yep.
So getting your friends, so as Sarah was saying, getting your friends together, but then networking separately from your friends. You go to different parts of the whatever event space that you're at, and you talk to people, and then you send people to the other people that are in the other spots in the room.
Well, it's great because you can only do that as an adult. As a young adult or younger, you're very possessive of your friends. But when you're an adult and you're in business and you recognize the power of growing a large sphere of influence, first locally and then nationally, you want to share your resources, because your resources are what define you in networking, and your best resources are your friends, of course. And you want to speak highly of them and introduce them and give them opportunities with other people they have never met. And that's part of your responsibility as a good networker. I want you to know that. Everyone that's listening out and broadcasting. But we have a great question this week. Actually, Sarah came up with the question this week. The question is regarding disappointment. What do you do when you're disappointed? Do you want to put that question into the chat for everyone? Because it's a little more detailed the way she put it. Because we do have disappointments, throughout our week. Not everything can be on a high. The question is, how do you react to those disappointments? Is it a learning lesson? Is it a pivot to something better? Does it make you more creative? If everything was handed to you on a silver platter, would you be less of a person? So Katie, why don't we start with you with that question? We are going to put it up, so if you in the chat, if you want to take a look at it a little more closely. What do you do when you have a disappointment?
Well, I am no stranger to disappointment. I mean, running a nonprofit, it's constant disappointment because, and I know I've said this before, we're asking people to give us money and they're really getting nothing in return except a good feeling. So that's really hard to get money out of people enough to, I need to raise like $60,000+ a year, close to $100,000 a year just myself, and that's money from people just giving it to us. So there's a lot of meetings I'll go on. A lot of times, I think, oh my gosh, this person's going to change our life, because they're all excited in the meeting, and then nothing happens from it, and then I get so disappointed, and I just have to keep pushing on. I mean, there's months. I mean, sometimes there's months, weeks, days where I think, oh my gosh, the world just wants us to fail. They just do not want this nonprofit to work out. But then following that, there's always these I cannot believe how many huge, amazing things are happening for us right now. And I think this is it. And all these great things do happen. So it's just like with anything else in life, there's ebbs and flows of highs and lows. And whenever I'm in one of those lows, I'm really disappointed because nothing's working out. I just have to remind myself of the times when everything is working out, and that's right, that's going to be right around the corner when we'll go through another one of those highs. And so it's just a matter of staying positive, and, sitting at home and just watching TV isn't going to change that. I have to work harder. I have to, make sure my board is a strong board that's going to help me, because I can't just do everything by myself. I need to surround myself with people that can help grow this. And so it's just a matter of pushing on, mentally picturing those times when everything is going right and knowing that will happen again.
Well, that's excellent, because you put together a very good picture on social media of you're never disappointed, it's always success, and it's very inspiring to other people. But there will always be disappointments. But I think that even if you weren't spiritual before COVID, I think a lot of people are really becoming spiritual and noticing what's going around them and seeing all the opportunities. Yeah, there's a lot of, can I say shitty things that are happening with COVID? But then there's so many opportunities that are being dangled in front of us that are so good. And if you just open your eyes they're right there to grab them. In fact, I feel like there's more good things out there to grab than ever in my entire life, if you just open up your eyes and you grab it.
And it's a matter of taking every opportunity. You know, I mean, there's nights where, you know, back when life was normal and my life is nonstop all day, going to meetings, going to presentations, going to networking events. And, you know, I would go to 4 networking events a week, like every night of the week. And there would be nights I would be exhausted, and it'd come time to leave for it. You know, it starts at 5. I'm like, oh, I can't imagine going. I don't feel like going. But then I go, and then like I met you. What if I had never gone? I had given in to the tiredness, you know, and just didn't go. Or, you know, so many things that have come from meeting you and joining this and having my networking event with Rockstar Connect, like all those opportunities they would have never got. So you have to just not sulk in it, but take every opportunity to change the situation you're in. But I mean, there's many nights I lay in bed, can't sleep, crying, thinking, this is it. Like, we're never going to make it out of this, but we always do.
You know, that's a difference, you know, being a successful adult. Because when you were younger, your mother always used to say to you, look, if you just get out there, so many good things will happen. And you go, oh, Mom, come on. I don't want to go out. I just want to stay in here and listen to, you know, goth music or whatever the depressing music of the age was.
Not me. My parents couldn't keep me home. I was like, I would be like on my deathbed and there'd be a party, and I was like, I feel better. I can't miss it.
Well, that's good.
The most social.
But I will tell you, we promised to buy a bike, and I know we have not bought a bike yet.
No, you haven't.
You have to really just text Sarah and say,
okay, I will.
Not only do I want you to buy a bike, I want you to buy 2 bikes this year.
Okay.
Because you've been so tardy, and we'll buy 2 bikes. We'll buy one from Rockstar Connect, and we'll buy one from, you know, one of our other businesses.
Thank you.
Who else wants to buy a bike for an underprivileged kid on the panel? How much do they cost?
It's about $100 for a bike, lock, and helmet.
Yeah, so for $100, you can buy a kid a bike, and if 2 of you guys want to get together, you can buy it together. She has no problem with that. She can split it up on 2 credit cards. Okay, I'm going to go to the newbies, and then I'm going to go to Jen. So, Mike, we're jumping right into the question. Disappointment. How do you deal with it? Are you ever really disappointed, or is this all part of the process?
For me, I think a big part of it is part of the process. When I was younger, I was a big worrywart. My mom was one of those people that always worried about everything. And so for me, I have learned and taught myself how to reframe things and really look at, like, is there anything I can do right now? If there's not, then okay, what can I do instead? So for me, when I get disappointed, it's looking at, where am I at right now? What happened that worked? What happened that didn't work? What can I do about it? So for me, I try and look at it as a learning opportunity. And I'd say about 90% of the time it works. There are still those days when it's like, I can't believe it didn't happen, or I can't believe it didn't work out, or why didn't that happen? And in those moments, it's kind of like, okay, so you wallow in it for a minute, and then what can I do? So for me, it's always like, what's next?
Well, I mean, sometimes it's good to have a good cry and a good reflection to figure out what the next thing is. And everyone is entitled to be pissed off on occasion and mad and sad. And, it's a lot of being happy all the time. So, relish that 10% of the time where you can just be miserable.
Absolutely. And I embrace that. It's way easier to embrace that. And I will say I'm better at the 90% when it comes to business than I am the personal. I just went through a divorce. And so that piece of it is like that disappointment part. Yes, I totally get that. And have been through the ups and downs of that. For me, it's easier for me to compartmentalize things in business and go, okay, so what's next?
But once you get on the other side of divorce, it feels like a tremendous success.
Yes,
I would agree with that myself, and I've spoken to people that have gone through divorce. Once you've gotten to the other side, wow, it's like, better than your college degree or, anything else you might have accomplished.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Real point, rite of passage there. Not everyone shouldn't go through that rite of passage, but those of us that have to, you get a gold star, you get a brownie button. Ray is going, yeah, 100%. Hey, Jennifer Williamson, how do you deal with disappointment?
I look at a bright side, glass half full. It's like, well, at least I have other things to work on. I have more time to work on besides not, spending more time with that failed person. I'll just move on to the next project here and then focus on getting that and on to the next thing over again. So I was like,
anyone who owns their own penguin can't be too disappointed.
right, I know. I mean, she's like the most positive character of all of them. So
as a creative person, sometimes part of the things you do creatively are done in isolation. So you can have, even on a day that you've had disappointment publicly, you can have tremendous success privately, correct?
Right, absolutely. Agreed.
Great. We're really happy to see you here, and I see you have a couple more characters that you're introducing to us. Jen, if you don't know why all of those things are behind Jennifer, she has a company that utilizes animation to make virtual events and activities that much more exciting. And she has a news program in South Carolina that over 2 million people watch, and they utilize all of these avatars, these animated avatars to do the show. It's called the Carolina Bulletin, is that correct?
Yeah, our publication is called Carolina Bulletin, and the show is called Carolina Bulletin News.
Excellent. All right, let's go over to Mark Roberts, who had a very successful live networking event. Are you ready, Mark?
I am ready.
Hey, Mark, were you impressed how, I was mentioning how everyone kept their masks on even when they were drinking? They just pulled down their mask a little bit to drink. Were you sort of surprised by that?
No, we told everyone you were there.
Is that it? Steven's there, keep your mask on? I got to be the best man.
That had a little bit to do with it. Yeah, no, people were very, very good. It was a great night. I appreciate you coming and showing up too. I think we had some good connections there too. So it was very good.
With someone I met at your event that I did not know before tomorrow. And I think it has $ wrapped around that meeting. So thank you for having your event.
I get an awful lot of feedback that good connections and deals are being made at these events. In surprise, people that have been at other events, people that have been at other occasions, they're like, the caliber of people that are coming here, they're really here to talk business and to meet. So,
well, it's because I think it's because of part of it is we say come from the meaningful connections. If you can make those connections, then the business will follow. I think some events they emphasize make the business first. Well, it's pretty hard to force that type of relationship when you're talking about fiscal trust, etc.
Right.
And you're a perfect host for these type of events because he runs around the room making meaningful connections. That's what you need to do in these events as a host. You sort of stay near the front, but when you have that opportunity to shine in front of the whole audience, and it's an audience, it's a rock star event, make those connections, and every eye in the room is looking at Mark or Katie or Ray when they're making those connections in the room. They truly are the rock stars of the event.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I have Tiffany that likes to stay at the table. She's more comfortable there, and I like to run around like a squirrel on crack in the middle of the crowd making connections.
To this week's question.
Yes, sir.
You've had disappointments. I know that because we've discussed that. But you're so good with them that it's just like part of the process for you.
I'm fortunate. I consider myself the proverbial underdog. I've always considered myself not good enough, whatever. So I have to work harder than everyone else. So when I get that disappointment, it kind of goes back to those wrestling days because I wrestled at 114 pounds in high school and college.
114 pounds.
Yeah. So when I was hungry, I'm like, there's nobody hungrier than me. When I was up running at 5 o'clock in the morning so I could have a drink of water before I went to school, I was like, I know the people that I'm wrestling are not doing this. I know they're not putting this work in. So when I got up in the morning and didn't want to do it, it was that the other guy's not, I'm getting up. So for me, disappointment is that one step closer to yes, and most of the people are quitting with this disappointment. So I'm excited about the disappointment because
you ate their tears.
Yes. So yeah, every disappointment is where somebody quits. So if I take a step forward, I'm ahead. So to me, it's not as backbreaking.
Are we going to see you at any of the local events this week? Are we going to see you at Briar Creek tonight, or maybe Thursday at the Marriott?
We are not. Tonight is my wife's birthday, so no, I'm going nowhere but here. Thursday, I'm teaching a class, and then I'm back in Boston to finish up a couple deals.
Oh, well, the deals sound great. We're sorry we're going to miss you on Thursday.
Oh, I'm disappointed to miss that, but you know, there's excuses for it or reasons.
All right, it's a good excuse, and we'll make sure that people know why you weren't there.
All right.
Mike, let's go to you, Mike. Disappointment. How do you deal with disappointment?
Well, the fact that Tennessee is 2-4 in college football right now, Stephen, it's been a rough fall. There's a bottle of vodka that used to be full, but not anymore. So, like a lot of folks on here, I try to find something else that's going good while you look through what happened to lead to any disappointment. Try to find something else to focus on, get your spirits back going again, and then figure out what might have gone wrong. And just kind of keep looking at the overall picture, because chances are there's something going right. You may have had a setback in a certain area or one part of the business, but generally there's always something else going right. Maybe you can learn from and feed off that and kind of fix what disappointment you might have had. And sometimes you just have to accept whatever happened and figure out if there's a way to regroup and move on.
I think that sometimes a lot of disappointment, when you really dive into it, is usually the things that you had no control over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have no control over it, why waste the on it?
And talking about the golf game, if there's a hurricane coming, what do, right? No control over that. So you make the best of, get everybody indoors, try to find some ways to connect with people and still reach some of your goals, and just kind of make another game out of a game and see if you can salvage the day.
Right. 100%. Clint.
Yes, sir.
Ready?
Yeah, sure.
How does one deal? How do you deal with disappointment? Can you make it a positive thing? Whatever way you want to discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all deal with disappointments in our lives, and it's just how you react to them. You just gotta kind of pick yourself up and move on. What I do to help my mental health a lot is I go for a run or a walk, but mostly a run. Or honestly, over the last 4 or 5 months, one of the best things for me to do when I feel myself struggling with anything, but also if I get disappointed with something, just take some time for myself and meditate, as I said, or go for a run. But the meditation stuff has really been helping a lot, or you can journal about it, or you can talk to somebody that you trust. So everybody's going to struggle. Nobody's going to think less of you for bringing a struggle to them, especially if they're the right friends, or they're just the right people to talk to. So, I mean, Stephen, for me, man, it's all mental. And so as long as I take care of myself, then I'll be fine.
So don't let the disappointment overshadow all the other things that are going on in your daily life.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, if you do that, everything's going to be negative. And with the climate in the country right now, I mean, you gotta stay up on your mental health game, or you're just going to fall in all kinds of traps.
Yeah. I mean, probably 150 million people voted. At least 70 million of those people are probably very disappointed, right now.
Yep.
But they're going through their day.
Yep.
Ray, disappointment. How do you deal with it?
Well, I have a library behind me that has a bunch of wine in it, so I usually start there. But, there's a guy by the name of Hal Elrod that tells a story about him being in a big car accident, sent to the hospital, wasn't supposed to be able to walk. He wrote a book called The Miracle Morning, and he talks about, just like Jen Beck mentioned, he's allowed to be disappointed for 5 minutes. So after that, after those first 5 minutes, we just have to I take a look at, what did I learn from that? And do I continue moving forward? Or, for example, the idea of money, right? You spend, $1,000 on a project and you're expecting big returns, and then you got to kick in another $1,000 to make it work, and you'll get your $2,000 back maybe. Do you do that? Or do you just, count the first $1,000 as a loss and move on? You don't throw good money after bad, and you don't throw good emotions. after bad, in my opinion. So just, we definitely need to take the time. But what did I learn from it, and where can I go from here?
And maybe disappointment is difficult because we feel it's so public. It's a public loss, but really people aren't that invested in your disappointment, really, when it comes down to it. And if the problem is because of the public loss and they're not that invested in it, they're not judging you because you had this disappointment, maybe that helps you let go of the disappointment. If you just sort of say, well, nobody's really looking anyway that I had a disappointment. They didn't know this was going to happen, and I didn't overpromise, and I delivered at least a portion of what I promised to do. You sort of had a success, right? You shouldn't be disappointed. It's setting expectations. In real estate, for example, we're always setting expectations with our clients so they aren't disappointed. And I think sometimes, we feel like, oh my God, we're the one who's disappointing them. But if you're setting them up with expectations, how does that work? And like in real estate, for example.
Well, I think that's hugely important because what I found is, I hear from real estate agents that their client is doing something, it's a terrible thing, and they think something's going to happen. I said, well, what did you tell them before this? Do you do a presentation? And I think that's the key. What we call setting the proper expectations. We can't, no matter what career you're in, I don't think we can fix everything. And we just need to let, in real estate, I just need to let my clients know, these are the things that could possibly happen. This is what happens when you do this. And if you don't write a higher offer, there's a good chance you won't get the house. Or if, you take the house and it has this problem, it's something I have to deal with later. It's all about setting the proper expectations, just like you said.
None of these things are permanent either. None of these things are permanent either. Nope. They may get in the wrong house, but maybe this house doesn't work for you. I'm here for you. I can help you get into another house. Or you may have lost a few $1,000s on this transaction, but we'll make it up on the next transaction.
Right. So, well, when I was many, many years ago, I was in the Air Force. I was a young lieutenant, and people would come to me and say, guys in the Air Force would come to me and say, Lieutenant, this is going on. And I go, whoa, slow down. Did you burn something down? No. Did you steal something? No. Did you kill somebody? No. All right, we're good. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. Because
my father is an attorney, always used to say, and I think a lot of people have heard me say this, if you can fix a problem with money, you really don't have a problem.
You do not have a problem.
Anything that can be fixed, if you can take out a credit card and fix it and make it go away or write a check, there's a minor pain when you're doing that, pulling that wallet out of your pocket, but you're solving a problem ultimately with something that's just a piece of paper, and that's all it really is when it comes down to it.
And if you're in real estate, you probably did that at some point.
I mean, I did that in my career, a big check at one point, and writing that big check actually ultimately created hundreds of thousands of dollars of business for me, because other people would not have written that check.
That is correct.
And I wrote that check. It's still paying off. That check is still paying off to this very day in transactions 10 years later. So yeah, you're right. And I think real estate agents are the good ones, know that writing a check is part of doing business. Jeff, disappointment. How do you deal with disappointment? You're a pretty positive guy. I don't think you're probably ever really disappointed. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've spoken about this on the program before. Let's say program, like we're a TV show. I've been speaking about this on our Rockstar Connect panels now, probably for months. And I think we all respect and admire and probably try to foster a notion of grit within ourselves, right? I mean, that texture that allows us to keep pushing forward no matter the outcome. And it's a character weakness of mine to be able to discern the difference between it's time to give up, dude, and that desire to keep pushing forward. And I can tell you, I handled disappointment with fighting to overcome the obstacle or the thing that's blocking my path forward. And I need people around me that will basically tap me on the shoulder and say, it's not worth winning at this point. So I get mad and I get more determined. And rarely do I guess, cry in my milk.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you do cry in your milk, you're entitled to, and sometimes it feels good. It's cathartic.
No judgment. Yeah, no judgment. I'm just saying that's not how I'm wired. Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to get pissed off. Hopefully, not a lot of people around you when you do it, and you can get out some of that bad voodoo that's in your system and say, "Hey, I'm ready to take it on." You feel like a boxer.
Yeah.
I guess Mark, had a lot of experience with that with wrestling. So now we're coming over to Jenny. I think this is going to be like a really, I waited to the end for you on this, Jenny, so you could really, because you're taking notes.
You know me, I totally do.
Totally take notes. You listen to everyone. And I mean, you did something really cool with your daughter earlier this year when she was disappointed that she wasn't getting mail. And you turned, that lemons into lemonade there.
Yeah.
Not only make her feel great, I think you got some great social media credit on that as well. Something that entertained your audience and kept them engaged 100%. So Jen, you got a friend, Jen Beck, you have to friend Jenny Midgley on Facebook. She has a daughter. Is she 3 or 4?
She just turned 5.
She's
turned mini, 5. Like she's tiny, but she's she is 5.
And she, was very disappointed that she didn't get mail and very upset about it, very disappointed. And Jenny went on social media and asked people to write her letters that she could then read. And they've been reading the letters online and everyone loves it. It's like great. And I think that, your daughter definitely learned a lesson from it.
She did.
Yeah.
She did. She learned that, people will send her things in the mail.
Right.
And you're giving me too much credit. Like, I made the video because I thought it was funny that she was still crying after 15 minutes and just sat on her scooter on the outside the front door for 15 minutes crying that she didn't get any mail. And I thought it was funny. And then gracious people were like, "Oh, she's so sweet. Let me send her something." And I got inundated with messages asking for my address. So yeah, it was not as tenderhearted as it started out to be, but it ended up being a really good thing because we then started pen paling, right? Like we sent letters back and we got more cards and
But that was a good visible disappointment that led to a good result.
Yeah.
It's like you guys ever seen the movie Network? I know Ray has and Mike Manning has and Mark. The younger people in the audience have no idea what I'm talking about. But in it, there's this famous scene where the news guy opens up the window and he goes, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." And he creates a whole movement where everyone's yelling out the window, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." And sometimes when you're disappointed, that's when you can get up the braveness and just tell someone, "You know what, you really disappointed me and I'm not going to take it anymore." It lets you sever potentially a bad relationship, business or whatever else. Jenny, okay, so disappointment. How do we deal with disappointment? How do you deal with disappointment? What do you
I have learned to take a deep breath, allow the feelings to happen because feelings are neither good nor bad, they just are. And so, the feelings are going to come. What matters is how you react to them. So I have a choice every day. I can dwell in it, or I can say, okay, I felt this is valid. And I'm entitled to these feelings. And now I'm going to process it however I may need to process it. And depending on the level of disappointment, there may be a day spent in bed, binge watching like Hoarders or something on Netflix or some mindless something or other. There may be a day where
cream-filled donuts,
possibly, yeah, maybe. Some kind of fast food item, yes, there may be that. But there's also I may just choose to go out for drinks with my girlfriends, or I used to, and then thanks COVID. But, or, you know, just looking at my calendar and seeing what I have ahead of me. Do I have a networking event? Do I have a client call that I'm particularly excited about? Do I have a session that I'm looking forward to? You know, do I have to pay attention to my children that day, or is my husband home? Like, it's those little things that, you know, because you have to give yourself grace. Like, life is not guaranteed to be disappointment free, right? Like, you know, I used to have to deliver people's disappointments.
Business oriented all the time.
Yeah.
Either, you know,
right.
It's hard with that's one of the hard parts of COVID is when does life start and when does business start and when does it end? And for kids, I can't even imagine. I don't know. I just feel like we've totally let children down the last 9 months, and I hope we don't pay for it for the next several decades. Maybe they learn something on their own.
They're springy. They're resilient. They're springy. They'll bounce back.
They're resilient and they're springy, but I don't have any brilliant things to share with my children to say how this is such a good experience.
Do you have to?
Do I have to? I don't know. That's probably part of the problem. I don't know.
I'm going to argue that you don't have to. Like, you don't have to make it a better thing, or like turn it into a lemonade, or show the silver lining. Like, it is what it is, and this is a period that we're all like coexisting through this trauma together. And if you can just say, you know, this is happening and eventually it's going to end, and in the meantime, let's just take each day and do what we can with it, you know, I'd say that's a win. That's teaching them skills that are going to last them, you know, forever.
Well, it's surreal too. We really don't know what's happening, but I know I do see some people, and, you know, social media makes things, you know, maybe better than they are. People that have rented an RV and they're traveling the whole country with their children. I don't know if I could, after 3 days, whether I can handle that. Really. Sarah's going, that sounds absolutely miserable. But back to the topic at hand. You guys did a great job with what could be a very difficult topic. And Jen is a new panelist, so of course we want people to reach out to her. Are there anybody that you heard on the panel that you'd like to speak with, Jen, and probably start a conversation with, that have inspired you in some way or could help your business?
I would love to connect with Jenny. So good call on that one, Stephen. And I love the work that Katie's doing. And I'm always looking for more speaking opportunities and podcasts and things like that. So I know some of you guys also have podcasts. But I am so excited to be here. Like, talk about a powerhouse of people. So I'm just, you know, happy to be here, and I had a great time today.
Well, thank you very much. And now you see why we sort of have an interview process, because Sarah wants to make sure that whoever we bring on the show, you know, they come from a place of giving and that they can gel with the other people in the group, because we do send a lot of business back and forth to one another, but also friendships, you know, too. You know, now you have someone in other parts of the country that know who you are, that if you wanted to reach out to them, you could do it. So Rockstar Connect, can you believe it? We had a meeting last week for a couple new, you know, hosts that are coming on that are dying to do live events in parts of the country where we've never had events. 3 Martini Lunch is part of the reason why we are on their radar, because people started watching 3 Martini Lunch and seeing hosts like, you know, Ray and Mark and Katie, and attendees, you know, like Clint and Jenny and Mike and Jeff, that have gone to these events, and they're like, wow, what is that? Why are these people just so positive at a time when other people are not being positive? And can I feel some of that love too? So we're going to have a lot of new hosts coming, a lot of events around the country. So those of you that want to know what's going on, go on the website and check it out. Yes, Clint.
So another reason why we are probably more happy and upbeat than most networking groups is because we don't go in business first. And I think it takes a hell of a lot of pressure off not only you as the person, but the group as a whole, because people that know that they're going to go to a networking group event and get sold to don't really want to go. They just go because they want to try to be one of those sales. They make those sales. With Rockstar, and you and Sarah, you know, breathe this environment that, you know, it's just about people and having a good time and making relationships. So it's a hell of a lot easier for us to come in happy and, you know, productive because of that.
Yeah, I mean, the big that comes, that's the, you know, just sort of secondary, and because we know it's going to come, we're pretty experienced at this point. If you're out there and you're in the mix, but it's having that support. You know, for Sarah and I going to our networking event, that's the social event of the month for us. That's like, there's nothing better than that. There's no movie we're going to go to or cocktail party that's going to be like seeing our friends at our Rockstar Connect event. And, you know, they're coming back. We're excited. Hopefully we'll have Katie's up and running soon, and Ray's. It's going to take longer in California for some reason. They're a little tough out there. But I appreciate you all coming here. www.rockstarconnect.com. Jen, please connect with people. We'd love to have you back as a panelist. And also, I'd like to ask the people that are participating in the panel, if you have some ideas for some questions of the week, shoot them over to Rockstar Connect so Sarah can go through them, because we'd like to see, you know, maybe we're missing something that people really need to discuss. And, you know, maybe we can have a guest moderator for the second hour in one of the programs. If you have interest in doing that, you know, let Sarah know. We can make that dream happen. Okay, everyone, we're at the part where we wave goodbye to one another.
Do you want a puppy?
Oh, wait, Sarah would like to show the puppy.
He's so big.
Do you remember how small the puppy was? Look at him now.
Wait, you don't have to move.
I don't have to move
You don't
it?
have to move. Look at how big he is.
Ziggy! Ziggy,
He's a
Ziggy.
big boy. And
I have to like stand back to get him in the. Hold on, there we go.
There he is.
But he's being trained and he's loving it. I mean, he's like learning. He's digging it. So what he's been learning this week is how to be gentle when he takes treats from your hand. Because otherwise he takes off your entire hand. But now he can almost take a treat without biting your hand.
Yeah, look, he's so dark. The lights don't even show his face.
He's the invisible dog.
He is the invisible.
The candle in the mirror is not working to light Ziggy.
No, I was kidding about that. I actually do have professional lighting. I don't have.
But he
candles.
is the darkness. He just can't. You can't see him.
He should have been called Rorschach.
I know,
That's
right?
what his head looks like. Hey, bye guys. Nice seeing you all.
Bye, everyone.
Same time, same place. Tuesday, 2 to 4 p.m. 3 Martini lunch, a national virtual networking event powered by Rockstar Connect.